the Mission Dorothy podcast with your hostess, Tamika's Williams. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us here at Mission Dorothy, the podcast. Today we are going to dive into our episode number 7, which is a continuation of the 6 Pillars of Self Esteem series. Today we're going to talk about self assertiveness. Yes, self assertiveness. Self assertiveness is very important to self esteem because it helps you to basically stand up for yourself and what you believe in, what you're connected to. So let's get started. The definition for self assertiveness is to honor our wants and needs and look for their appropriate forms of expression in reality, to treat ourselves with decent respect and our encounters with others, to be willing to be who we are and allow others to see it, to stand up for our convictions, values, and feelings. And so that is a pretty good definition. And when we think about self assertiveness, there are so many different ways to think about it. You know, some people will take self assertiveness and add aggression, and some people may decide to live in passivity instead of assertiveness in fear of possibly losing something, in which we will talk about in this episode. So, when we have good self esteem, self assertiveness tends to follow as a natural consequence. And when we are appropriately self assertive, we strengthen our self esteem. So the relationship is reciprocal. One of the ways we can build self esteem is by learning to honor our wants, needs, values, and thoughts, and by seeking appropriate ways to express them in the world, as the definition pretty much states. So, self assertiveness means your willingness to stand up for yourself, to be who you are openly, to treat yourself with decent respect in any encounters with others. It means that you're not faking who you are. You're not putting out a misrepresentation of your values or beliefs or perceptions just to win approval. So if we think about that, sometimes people can take self assertiveness and put on a persona in order to live in that world, right? So it's not authentic, right? We're all about learning how to live authentically. And so when you are deciding to put on a mask in order to be self assertive, then you're coming off as a misrepresentation of yourself, right? And so it's important for you to really work at being comfortable in your shoes, being comfortable in the lifestyle you've chosen, being comfortable in your belief system, because there will be moments when you are going to have to stand up for them. And when you stand up for them, that is you being self-assertive when it comes to your wants, needs, values, and your thoughts, right? So, when we think about self assertiveness, I want you to understand that it has nothing to do with um, pushing to the front line or demanding to always be the center of attention, as well as recognizing no one else has rights or being indifferent to the interests of others, right? So this is someone that is coming off rather aggressive, right? You pushing yourself to the front line. You are not understanding that everybody else have rights too. Um, you tend to be pushy, and you're not considering other people's feelings, right? So you're bombarding everybody with your views and not being considerate of others, as well as being considerate in your actions toward others. So, you know, some of the most self assertive women can also be some of the kindest and most generous women as well. But this is that type of woman who is not willing to live underground, right? She's not willing to live in passivity. She's unwilling to hide her intelligence or her convictions, right? As well as her passions. So she treats her needs and goals as important, not necessarily important to others, but important to herself, right? So she's feeling confident. She's able to stand on her own. She is self assured. She has little self doubt and she feels good about what she stand for, right? But you have some women who often disown their strengths because they are afraid that to express them will lead to loss of love, right? So if we think about the whole um, kind of captain save, right? So if we think about the that analogy of guys or women who are looking for someone to come and save them, um, those are women who are living in passivity. That's not being assertive. You know, nowadays when it comes to dating and those types of things, it's a lot of conversation around Miss Independent or, um, you know, the girl who is pretty much waiting on Captain Save, right? And so when we think about this, you know, you have some women who feel that um, it's okay to be passive and to not speak up for the things that you believe in. And it's kind of like that damsel in distress mentality, right? You're waiting on someone to come and save you when, and you know, these type of women tend to look at saving yourself as a problem, right? That's something that the man's supposed to do. He's supposed to come and save you and take care of you and do all of these things. But then on the flip side, you also have women who are, you know, totally independent, you know, do everything for themselves, can take care of themselves, you know, pay their own bills, you know, have goals and aspirations and all of those things. And oftentimes those types of women are stereotyped as um, you know, aggressive women or just basically, you know, the whole independent situation, right? And so, some, to me, if you ask me, real men appreciate those types of women. And I'm going to say F boys look for the passive women, right? So, F boys will pretty much feel intimidated by the independent woman, okay? And so for some women, they feel that if they assert themselves too much, then that was not attractive. It'll turn guys off. It's not feminine. Um, you know, a lot of times parents will teach their daughters to be passive and, you know, wait on a guy to come and save them versus being independent and waiting on the guy that is for you. And he will respect your grind. He'll respect your hustle. He'll respect the fact that you have vision, you have goals, you have dreams, you have things that you want to do, and you're not going to wait around for someone to come and save you, right? It doesn't mean that you won't need, that you can't stand to, you know, have a partner, need a partner. You're not open to that teamwork, that give and take of a relationship. It just means that you're okay with taking care of yourself. You're okay with doing you until you meet the right guy, right? You don't have to sit back and be broke down and disgusted and busted waiting on someone, correct? All right, we'll have to do another episode on Miss Independent, right? So let me give you an example of what I mean when it comes to women thinking that if they are assertive, then it could lead to the loss of love. And this is a good example that Nathaniel Brandon used in his book to hone in on for you guys to be able to understand what this really means. So basically, he had a client who adored her father and felt adored by him until she reached around the age of 12, right? Up to that time, she had responded to all of his pronouncements of wisdom incarnate, and he basked in her vision of him. So she was just really like, looking up to her father. She, felt that he was wise. She honored his um, counsel. And this is her up until age 12. But we know around that age 12, you start to, you're thinking different. Now you're asking questions. You're trying to understand what's going on. You're trying to figure out, emotions and, those types of things around that age. And so then, as her ability to think developed, she began to ask challenging questions to her father, right? So she became more self assertive. And in disorientation and fear, he retreated from their relationship, right? So apparently, she was asking some tough questions about him, maybe about what he's doing, what he's not doing, and the father could not handle that. Right. So, out of fear of maybe exposing himself, exposing his own fears and abilities, um, just being confused at how did his daughter change, where she went from um, adoring him to now asking those hard questions and holding him accountable. So basically, he silently started to detach from her and over time becoming critical and scornful. So instead of him standing up and really answering those tough questions, now his fear has allowed him to disconnect from his daughter because he doesn't want to be assertive, right? And responsible for his lack or just maybe inability to follow through, whatever it is that was causing her to start asking the harder questions. Why aren't you around? Why is it that we don't spend time? Why aren't you consistent? You know, we can go on for days with that whole situation, right? So this little girl was basically, she was left to feel abandoned and discarded, right? And the sad part is, as a young woman, to struggle with the questions of, so she started to think about, well, to keep love, do I have to deny what I see and know? Right? Is too much consciousness the enemy of relationships? Now, we all know that this can be a whole episode itself, which we would definitely have to come back to. But because of this relationship with her father and him disconnecting and, basically, sorry, I'm dropping things, basically disowning their relationship, now this causes her to question, well, in order to keep love, do I have to deny what I see and what I know? So basically, you want me to ignore the negativity and the lack in order to keep your love? Like, if is that what you're asking of me? Right? Do I deny my consciousness, in order to keep relationships? So do I need to be passive instead of assertive? If I assert myself, if I start to ask questions and putting myself out there, that means that that's not a good thing. So I'm gonna lose you because I'm vocal, because I, you know, like to speak my mind, because I am asking you tough questions that is basically holding you responsible, right? So we can understand this, example in this relationship between the daughter and the father, but we can also look at this in relationships, right? Because of this relationship with her father and the message that she is taking away from his, disconnect, this can really damage her as a young woman and as she step into her full womanhood, right? Because she can go silent. She can go passive, and she can start to feel like she has no voice. Like, that's the opposite of what we're trying to teach you here. This is the opposite of, I'm sure, what your mother want you to, you know, uh, display or walk in, right? Is being, conscious and not being afraid to speak up for yourself. We can also look at this on the job, right? How many times have you spoke up in the staff meeting or, with your supervisor and that type of thing, and they negatively um, warded off, right? So now you're looking like the, maybe angry black woman. You're looking like, oh, she's too aggressive. You're looking like the, the employee that's not a team player. Like, this shows up a lot in life, right? And it shows up in relationships, right? If you step to your friend and you tell her, that her behavior is unacceptable, then, you know, instead of her taking the constructive criticism, y'all fall out, right? So this shows up a lot, whether to speak or whether to stay silent. Of course, I say speak. It's a way to say things. Assertiveness does not mean rude and pushy. Assertive means just being confident and standing in your, you know, in your beliefs, right? Learning how to speak up for yourself, your wants, your needs, your values, your morals, right? Learning how to have a standard, um, just even your own ethical standard, and even being assertive with yourself, because it's not just about being assertive out here in this world with other people. It's also about being assertive with yourself, right? In order to do any of these six pillars, you have to be assertive. You got to put the work in, right? That's why I give you guys the homework also, because that's you being assertive. You are taking the initiative to take this work and apply it to your life. You're willing to take it and take it further than what I'm just giving you in this episode. That's what I want you guys to do, when it comes to the homework that I give, right? So, once again, you know, many women wrestle with these questions, and, some choose to relinquish their intelligence, unaware that they are also relinquishing their self esteem, right? Self assertiveness begins with the act of exercising consciousness, right? And that is seeing and thinking. If you retreat from this challenge, inevitably we would wound our self esteem, right? We'll hurt it. Going in and being passive when you really need to speak up for yourself, stand up for yourself, like, that is basically wounding your self esteem, right? So let's take this a little bit further when we talk about just relationships, right? So never get involved with someone who is not a friend of your intelligence, right? If you do, the price you will pay for love is loss of love for yourself. Yep. Let me repeat that. Never get involved with a man or woman who is not a friend of your intelligence. If you do, the price you pay will be the loss of love for yourself, right? So you're thinking that by getting with this person, you're gaining love, but if they don't respect your intelligence, then you losing love, you know, for yourself, right? You are lowering your self-esteem, right? You putting yourself at the bottom of the totem pole. You want to be with someone who can respect your voice, who's willing to listen to it, who's willing to handle it with care, compassion, and concern, right? You don't want to be with somebody that just wants you to be silent, that they want you to be a yes, ma'am, a yes, sir, right? They don't want to hear what it is that you have to say. They don't think that your ideas, your thought process is valid. You don't want to be with somebody like that. You don't want to be with someone who is going to shoot down your thoughts and ideas and your personality, right? You don't want someone who's not willing to be invested in your mind, being invested in your growth, right? You don't want to be with somebody who don't respect your intelligence. Seriously. And you really don't want to have that type of relationship with yourself as well, right? Nobody is, I mean, there's some smart folks out there. Trust and believe. We got some geniuses in this world. But at the end of the day, you know, they have to work at things too, right? So they may be a genius in one area, but there are other areas that they have to work on, correct? So when it comes to us, respecting our own intelligence, we have to understand that we are forever learning students. And that is until the day we are out of here, right? You should always be trying to elevate your mind. You should always be trying to elevate your knowledge, right? So just even learning how to be a friend to your own intelligence by working to enhance and elevate it is key when it comes to self-esteem as well, right? So when we think about self-assertiveness, it can take many forms. So let me give you some examples of that. So one is basically, it can look like asking for a raise, right? And offering good reason why you deserve it on the job, right? A lot of times, yes, you may be getting paid salary, but understand you can ask for a raise, right? You've been there for a while, you've excelled, you get the good accolades, the people that you serve or they're speaking good about you, you're consistent, you're on time, you are pretty much a really great employee. You can ask for a raise. Just because you get salary don't mean that you can't go in after a while and ask for a raise, right? So that's being assertive, right? Just stepping in there, asking for a raise, and being able to offer good reasons why you deserve it. Expressing a moral, political view, right? That's assertive. We know how passionate people can get about that political conversation, right? So sometimes, that's people are often assertive when it comes to that conversation as well, right? Paying an enthusiastic compliment that genuinely reflects your values, right? So in my in my episode of um self acceptance, when I talked about giving the young lady compliments, right, or us working to compliment each other, that's part of my value because I value other people, right? So if I value other people, then that means that I am going to work to try to uplift others. So if and that is by giving people compliments, right? What about informing a friend that her behavior is unacceptable, right? And basically declining to cooperate with it. Now, if you have one of those friends who is off the chain, don't know how to act, a little bit too lit, um, one who just either can't handle their alcohol, is always confrontational or a little bit too aggressive, assertive, when y'all go out in public. Like sometimes it definitely warrants you to um, you know tell your friend, girl, you need to pipe it down a little bit. Of course, you wouldn't tell her like that, but just being honest with your friend and letting her know that her behaviors is unacceptable and that you refuse to cooperate with that. So if she can't learn how to handle her liquor, if she can't learn how to handle her behavior, then that could possibly mean that y'all may have to take a break until she can mature a little bit, right? That is you stepping to your friend and telling your friend that you feel that the relationship is not reciprocal, right? That you're always there for her, and when you need her, she's never there for you, right? That's being assertive as well. Maybe recommending a book or a movie you love. That's being assertive. Comfortably acknowledging your needs and vulnerability, right? That's definitely being assertive. Being honest about your anger. Asking questions straightforwardly without the need to pretend you already know, right? This one is key because, especially on the job, oftentimes people are really afraid to speak up. This is a place where you are spending the majority of your life, right? And, I don't know. I just felt like, when I worked for others, it was imperative. I mean, that's just who I've always been. I've always been the one who will speak up. If at the end of the day, I just feel like, yes, I may be working for you, but I'm also bringing a lot to this table too. And so, therefore, that means that I can't allow you to just run all over me, treat me like crap, pay me these little coins and think that I should not have a voice, right? I would be the one, in the staff meetings to speak up. If you are basically trying to treat me like a dog, if you are trying to squeeze orange juice out of my butt, if you are, just really being aggressive in, um, just your tactics when it comes to be employee and employer relationship, right? I feel like I just could not stand silent. Not when I've worked so hard to gain my education and, you know, um, make all the sacrifices that I've made in order to get to where I am and to just be treated like crap. So, in that, oftentimes, I wasn't afraid to ask questions. I wasn't afraid to challenge leadership. I was not afraid to speak up for my rights, speak up for my all of my hard work and sacrifices that I made. So we know that there is always a appropriate way to express your feelings, to express your voice, your thoughts, your ideas. So we're not talking about speaking up and being rude and unprofessional. We're talking about staying in your authentic self and just speaking up for yourself, not having to put on the mask or a persona in order to get the guts to be able to stand for what it is that you believe in, but just authentically sharing and expressing your thoughts, right? So another way is treating your ideas with respect and fighting in appropriate ways for their acceptance. That goes right back to what I just said, just as far as respecting your ideas and fighting for them in appropriate ways. It doesn't have to be aggressive. Other examples is refusing to laugh at someone's tasteless joke, right? So if somebody is talking about another person, then you are being assertive by not laughing, right? Not feeding into that, not joining into tearing another person down, right? Another example is, expressing your love and enthusiasm about something, a topic, a activity or something like that. Sharing your excitement is assertive, and letting others hear the music inside of you, right? Whether that is actual music, singing, rap, um, things like that, or if it's just actually your thoughts and ideas, that is music to me as well, right? So those are just some great examples of what self-assertiveness looks like. How does it show up in life, or how can it show up in life as well? So when we think about healthy assertiveness, as I said, it's not being hostile, abusive, or sarcastic. The latter are typically low esteem behaviors, right? So when you're hostile, abusive, or being sarcastic during your assertiveness, you're really coming from a place of low self esteem. Because when you're coming from a place of mid to high self esteem, you understand that there is no need for aggressiveness in order to prove your point, right? In order to speak your mind, in order to share your thoughts, your voice, your opinion, right? Um, it does not always take that. Now, granted, there are situations where you do have to add that extra emotion sometimes in order to really get the point across, but you have to really be tastefully, um, you have to have that ability to be, to choose tastefully, is what I'm trying to say, right? So, as we move on, let's understand that we need judgment about what feelings we will express under what circumstances, right? To exercise such judgment is not to sacrifice self assertiveness, but to be intelligent about its exercise. So that goes right back to what I was saying, that there is better ways to be assertive and to share your intelligence without being aggressive, right? So, as we move forward, let's pretty much look at another example of a young woman, right? So we have this young woman, and as a teenager, she felt her survival depended on saying no to the values of her parents, right? So she really worked hard at trying to go against the grain when it comes to the values that her parents were trying to instill in her. And she had been locked in a posture of no, right? Everything was no, no. Anything related to the morals and values that her parents believed in or tried to instill in, she just worked to work against that. So, as her basic response to the world, just over time, remained in this no universe. Now that as life passed on and she got older, she was confronted with the awareness that basically her blue jeans and comeback boots and a succession of dead end jobs and dead end lovers could not conceal the impoverishment of her inner life, right? So, being that she has gotten caught up into this whole world of defiance, no, there's a difference between standing up for what you believe in, and then just really intentionally trying to work against the grain just to um, you know be spiteful of someone else like it just does not work, because that's not really, if you're working from spite, that's not your authentic way of thinking, being, living, behaving, showing up in this world, right? You're just doing it to spite someone else. It doesn't really mean that you have taken the time out to sit with yourself to see what you really believe in. Because it always comes a time when you have to sit with yourself and figure out what you're going to keep and what you're going to throw away when it comes to your upbringing and just the way that you choose to move as an adult woman, right? From your childhood. So now she's stuck into this cycle of no, but not understanding that this cycle is also causing her to feel empty inside because she hasn't connected to anything. She's just been rebellious. And, this has led to dead end relationships. This has led to dead end jobs, right? Just coming off hard at life in a negative way, right? So the ability to say no is important, right? It really is important, but self assertiveness is tested not by what we are against, but what we are for, right? And with this young lady, when you are stuck in this mindset of just going against the grain, just to be spiteful, or just because, you never take out the time to really think about, well, what are you really for? Like, what do you really stand for? We know what you against, but do you really know why you against it? Is it just because you want to work against your parents, or is it because you have really sat and really thought about why you want to be able to release that, right? That belief system, that outlook on life that you've gained from them. And so, in that, it's okay to say no if you have really sat and thought about it and was honest with yourself about it. So now here she is as a grown woman sitting in her mid 30s and have in understanding that she's never been for anything. She's never really stood for anything. She just stood against a lot, right? So in this, Dr. I'm sorry, not doctor, but Mr. Brendan basically used the STEM completion exercise with this young lady, right? And so in the exercise, he gave her the STEM. Um, he gave her a couple of stems just to kind of get her to start thinking a little bit deeper. So now she understands that even though there was a lot that she said no to, she realized that she was not standing for anything, right? And so in this, he gave her the stem. If I said yes when I want to say yes, right? So that's the stem that he gave her. The stem is if I said yes when I want to say yes. And this young lady response was, if I said yes when I want to say yes, I would see how many opportunities I've been blind to. Right? So, with her being stuck in this no mentality, this closed door mentality, this mentality of none change, she has been missing out on opportunities. Right? She said, I would see how many opportunities I've been blind to. Right? So opportunities could have come her way and she couldn't even recognize the fact that they were there because she was stuck in this defiancy, this no, this I'm going against the grain, but don't even realize why she going against the grain. Right? It's just to spite her parents, right? So her response continued to say, I would admit all the things I've denied wanting. I would admit all the things I've denied wanting. So in this no cycle, there were some things that she really wanted to say yes to. But because it was it was maybe too connected to her parents' beliefs or anybody else in her life that she worked to go against, she declined them, right? She declined them by not being assertive and speaking up for herself, right? She also goes on to say, I would accept friendships when it's offered. I would accept my hunger for contact. I would reach out to life. I would go back to school. I would know how much I want to learn. I would let love out. Hmm. That's so good right there. That's so good. So, all of this time of this no cycle, she has also been saying no to releasing love. So, then that explains all of those dead end relationships, right? She also said, I would be scared. I might come alive, right? She said, I would be scared that I might come alive if I said yes when I really wanted to say it. So, this young lady has a deep fear of living. And oftentimes you find that, especially during those early 20s when those late teens, that 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, up to about maybe I say 24, is oftentimes, that fear of being an adult is real, right? Because, when you're young, it's like it takes forever to become this adult. But then when you hit adulthood, all of this responsibility come and it's just can be overwhelming, right? Or it's even the thoughts that may creep up into your mind that causes you to be afraid of stepping into your adulthood, basically stepping into coming alive, right? She also said, um, that she oh, I'm sorry, no, that's all she said. So let me just go back. I just want to repeat this one more time because I think it's a really good example here. So yeah, being that she's got caught up in this no cycle, this young lady has denied herself life, right? She had not taken the time out to see what she stood for, what her wants, values, goals, needs were, right? She was just working in this rebellious state. So this young lady said, if I said yes when I want to say yes, I would see how many opportunities I've been blind to. I would admit all the things I've denied wanting. I would accept friendships when it's offered. I would accept my hunger for contact. I would reach out to life. I would go back to school. I would know how much I want to learn. I would let love out. I would be scared. I might come alive. Can you see all that this no rebellious cycle has stopped her from experiencing? Basically, experiencing life, love, happiness, friendship, connection, success, goal achievement, um, man, just happiness. So you can imagine her self assertiveness was aggressive, right? Or it could have been passive. Either it could have came out no, right? That aggressive no, just because you want to go against the grain, or it could have been no, that passive no, because you are afraid to step up, right? You're afraid to be great. You're afraid to really unleash what's inside because you don't know where it's going to take you, right? So this young lady was given um, a lot to think about. But here's another stem that was given to her. That stem is, if I brought more self assertiveness to my daily activities. Here is her response. Get ready for it. If I brought more self assertiveness to my daily activities, I wouldn't hide so much. I wouldn't see myself as a victim. I wouldn't always be angry. So, as we can see, her self assertive was aggressive. She says, I'd find out who I am. I'd be more honest about my feelings. I'd admit when I'm hurt. I'd admit when I'm lonely. I'd think about making something of myself. I wouldn't stay in a stupid job and blame the system. I'd look for something better. I'd admit I have dreams and ambitions. My God, can you see how this young lady is opening up with these sentence stems? I'm telling y'all that the sentence stems gets the mind churning, right? It gets you to start thinking about how to elevate, how to be authentic, how to live authentic, how to listen to your own voice, trust your own thoughts and beliefs, right? Telling y'all that's why that homework is important. So, this young lady has opened up so much from just these two sentence stems, right? Now she has a breakthrough. This young lady is in disbelief, more than likely, that um, all of this has come out of her just by having a conversation with Mr. Brandon and really opening herself up to really see what is inside or to allow what's inside out. Man, I love this. I love this. Because too many of y'all are walking around full, afraid to release in fear of judgment of other people, your own judgment of yourself. Like, come out of that no cycle, rebellious cycle, working against the grain cycle. Because when you think you're working against the grain with somebody else, you really working against yourself. You really working against yourself. Be self responsible, right? Be self accepting and be honest with yourself. Release and free yourself of all this heartache and pain and anger and um, disappointment and just pain and hurt and anxiety and worry. It's okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to share that you just have fears and you don't understand and you don't know how to navigate life sometimes. It can get hard. But you got to remain true to yourself though, right? So in some of her responses, I mean, this was just key. I mean, she had some great responses in here. She said, I wouldn't stay in a stupid job and blame the system. I'd look for something better. How many of you guys are working on a job and you are blaming the system day after day after day when and the sad part is you're so focused on blaming somebody else and not realizing that you do have some um you do have a choice. You don't have to stay on that job. You can go and look for another job, right? And for those of you guys who may be on a job and you're looking to stay to retirement or, and it just don't feel that easy to, you've been in it for a while, 25 years, trying to retire at year 30, those types of things, one of the things that I would do is When my job felt mundane and repetitive and I just had to pray in order just to walk in the building, I would find different ways to try to renew some things, right? I would work to renew my mindset about the job. I would renew my systems that I put in place in order to make the job go smooth for myself, as well as um, re, 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 I'm getting tongue tied. I will renew my space, right? So if I have an office, if I have a cubicle, I will redecorate that. Um, and I would just really work to provide some kind of positive change, some kind of positive change in those manners, right? In order to kind of like hit the reset button a little bit, right? And I would do those things like, I would like take me a little break. I might make me a 3 day weekend type of situation, right? Take off that Friday, be off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Over that time, I think about what I can change come Monday, go in Monday and make those changes and implement. And it will give me a boost to be able to just kind of move forward. So anyways, let's move on here because I don't this episode is getting long. Yeah, I know I can talk, don't act. So let's keep going. Um so with this young lady, now she is that insight is great, right? So now she got this huge breakthrough, and now she she will work to change. She will take this information and she will utilize it to the best of her ability to enhance her life, right? It's clear in her responses to the sentence stems that she want to come out of this life that she's built for herself, or shall I say this bubble, right? So understand that to face our own wants and honor our own values, this takes courage, right? We need to come out of our hiding places. We need to participate in life. At first, it may feel difficult, but the world belongs to those who persevere, right? You got to keep moving. This life is going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be stressful. But on the other side of it, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be enticing, inviting, fulfilling. It's going to be what you put into it, right? So be mindful. What is it that you're putting into life? Are you educating yourself to elevate yourself, to elevate your mindset, right? Are you, working hard at your goals, right? Are you in tune with your morals, your values, what you stand for, right? Are you treating people with respect, honor, dignity? Are you treating yourself with respect, honor, and dignity? When you fall and when you make mistakes, are you beating yourself up, or are you wiping your knees off and dusting your pants off and, understanding that falls going to happen? Failures are going to happen. Are you looking for the lessons in those, right? Or are you just focused on the failure? Instead of focusing on the failure, focus on the lesson, right? If you were to, you know, talk to some of the most successful people in your life, or just, go online, read some articles, you will see that failure is a big part of success because it strengthens you, right? Because eventually you're going to get tired of failing. So you're going to start doing some things different. You're going to go harder. You're going to be more assertive. You're going to, be more consistent. All this leads to resiliency, right? That's that bounce back. That's that if I, okay, I fell. I'm going to lay here for a minute. Let me acknowledge this fall. Let me figure out what caused me to fall, right? But guess what? I've been down here long enough. Let me get up, dust myself off, and let me keep on moving. But when I move forward this time, I'm going to take the lesson in that fall, in that failure with me as I move forward. That's being assertive. So I hope that you guys really have a clear understanding of what self-assertive is, right? This is you honoring your wants and needs, and you're looking for their appropriate forms of expression in reality, right? This is you treating yourself and others with decent respect, kindness, admiration, compassion, right? This is you being willing to be who you are and allow others to see it. See, let me just speak on this real quick and then I'm going to end. One of the biggest issues is people choosing to not be their authentic self. And when I think about this, I put this in the passive category. Being assertive means that you are able to stand strong in who you are, who you believe in your morals, in your values, right? Because as they say, if you stand for, what is it? If you stand for nothing, then you will fall for anything, right? Understand that living authentically is key. It is the best way to really enjoy this life. Because when you walk around with 3, 4 masks in your pocket and you're pulling them out in certain situations around certain people, certain places, like it gets exhausting trying to put on all these different personas. Understand that it's okay to be you, how you are right now. Stop living for other people and live for yourself. Be yourself. It is okay to be yourself. Everybody may not like it, but understand you are not for everybody. You're not. So stop trying to be. Go find your people. Go find the people that will accept you for your oddness, your weirdness, what makes you different. Because we're all different in some form of fashion. If God wanted us all to be the same, he would have made us that way. Right? Understand that not being your authentic self you're not being assertive when it comes to you. Stop allowing the world to to define who you are. Your job is to get out here and show the world what you're worth. Stop allowing people to dim your light, dim your shine. Get out there and shine, live. Come out of the boxes, come out of the bubbles, come out of the safe spaces, come out the comfort zones. And it starts with you. You got to be okay with who you are. It starts there. And when you're okay with who you are, it's going to show up in your self-esteem. It's going to show up in your personality. It's going to show up in the energy that you radiate, and you will connect with people who enjoy your energy, who feels your energy, who loves to be around you, who enjoy your personality, your gifts, your talents, your voice, your thoughts, your intelligence. Stop fooling yourself with trying to walk around here and put on all these personas. It's exhausting. You wearing yourself out emotionally, mentally, and you are depleting your self-esteem. So understand it's okay to be you. It's okay to be different, right? Different is authentic. It's authentically you. Stop trying to look like everybody else out here on Instagram. Stop trying to act like everybody else, right? Like, get comfortable with who you are. That's what this podcast is about. It's about you looking within and looking at the gifts that you have, right? Trusting your voice, trusting your thoughts. This is you looking at the gifts that you were given and sharing them with the world. This is you embracing your inner gifts. This is you learning how to validate yourself and not having to look for the validation outside of yourself. It starts with you. And the more confident you are in yourself, the more you believe in yourself, this is what you're going to radiate. You're going to radiate self-assertiveness. You're going to radiate self-acceptance, right? You're going to, purposefully live. You're going to be intentional about your moves, about your life. Understand that, you know, true identity lies within. It's not what other people want you to be or want to see in you and all of that. It's about you and how you look at yourself within, right? You are enough right now, today. So stop working to be someone that you are not. Stop trying to reinvent yourself and instead just get to know yourself. There are some areas that you have not even tapped into yet. You haven't even explored. You don't even know all that's inside of you right now. Explore that. Do that along this self journey. That's the whole point. Like, that is what Mission Dorothy is about. Self exploration, going on your own self journey to self, getting to know your authentic self, removing all of the negative situations, issues, trauma, all of those things that have, disconnected you from your authentic self. Doing this self journey is assertiveness. So if you've been afraid of being assertive, please understand, yes, there is a fine line between passivity, aggressiveness, and just living authentically, right? Respect yourself, respect your thoughts, respect your voice, respect this life that is a gift. And you do that by choosing to just be you. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast. I hope that I did this topic some justice. I am just so in love with these 6 pillars. I just really feel that if you really implement this work, it will definitely increase your self-esteem. It will increase the quality of your life. You just got to be willing to do the work. So please make sure that you get your homework download by going to our Instagram is Mission Dorothy and hitting the bio link. And that way you will be able to download the homework worksheets, right? Which is sentence stems. And I'm telling you guys, really, if you really follow through and do this homework, you see in that example how just doing the sentence stems can open up your whole world. Don't be afraid of you. Work to be the best version of yourself. And that's all I'm asking, is that you really work to live authentically and be the best version of yourself. Right? It was not meant for you to be like anybody else. Just be you, because you are enough. So until our next episode, like I said, please go back, do your homework if you have not done it. Listen to the other episodes that have homework as well. And I'm telling you, we can sit and you can listen to these episodes all day long, but you have to apply what you are learning from this work. Okay? Until next time, I want you guys to really work to live consciously, be your authentic self, and understand it's okay to be you. Have a great one.